University, followed by a master's degree in water resources engineering at the University of Guelph. After 8 years in consulting engineering, Matt transitioned to the public sector and currently works at the City of Kitchener in the stormwater utility. Matt's career has focused on urban environmental planning, specifically on analysis and design to understand and mitigate environmental degradation associated with urban growth. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here to present on the City of Kitchener's effort to chart a course for sustainable management and operation of our stormwater infrastructure systems. In the next 25 minutes, we will look at an introduction to Kitchener and stormwater management, the stormwater funding model review we went through, Kitchener's stormwater rate, the residential and non-residential stormwater credit programs, lessons learned, and recognition. The City of Kitchener is located 1 hour west of Toronto, has a population of 230,000 people, is a two-tier municipality located within the region of Waterloo, and is located within the Grand River watershed, which outlets to Lake Erie. Typical challenges for stormwater managers everywhere include growth and development pressures, flooding and erosion hazards, property damage and increased liability, water quality degradation, source water protection, heightened regulatory requirements, climate change, etc., etc. The city is responsible for managing all aspects of stormwater within its jurisdiction, including building of stormwater pipes, ponds, catch basins, replacement of aging infrastructure, monitoring, inspection, cleaning, etc., flow and water quality monitoring, policy development, drainage studies, and a suite of other activities. Between 2005 and 2009, the City of Kitchener did a service level study to figure out what a sustainable level of service for stormwater management was. Our current level costs were $8.9 million, and through this study we determined that a sustainable level service would be $13 million, which was a $4.1 million increase. So, stormwater historically has been funded through property taxes. This leads to inequality, as the amount the property owner pays through property taxes might not equal the amount of service they use. Residential property taxpayers subsidize tax-exempt properties and large commercial industrial properties. That's because large commercial industrial properties produce more stormwater and therefore should have to shoulder a larger burden of the costs associated. Also, property taxes were an inconsistent funding source because there was competition for stormwater infrastructure funding. So, City of Kitchener looked at 4 different models, funding models, including the stormwater rate, a dedicated tax levy, stormwater flat fee, and the status quo or property taxes. The stormwater rate funding model was selected as the preferred alternative. The stormwater rate appears on each property owner's monthly municipal utility bill. Charges are a tiered flat fee based on the amount of impervious area on the property. So Kitchener received council approval to establish the stormwater utility and implement the stormwater rate as a dedicated funding source for stormwater projects in June 2010. The key steps to implement the new billing system included updating the GIS impervious area mapping for every property in the city, assigning a rate code type to each property, linking the GIS to the city billing accounts, updating the city's corporate tax and utility billing software, and the first stormwater utility bills were issued to all residents in February of 2011. Stormwater rate structure is based on measured impervious area. So driveways and parking areas as shown on the left, and the building footprint as shown on the right. Other hard surfaces such as patios, sidewalks, and private roads are also measured. So each residential property is assigned a stormwater classification code based on the amount of impervious area on the property. As of 2013, stormwater charges for residential properties range from approximately $47,000 a year for condominiums to approximately $155 a year for large single detached homes. Higher charges apply for multi-residential homes. So for example, a single detached medium-sized residential property has a rate code 2 and the monthly charge is $9.73 per month. Each non-residential property also has a stormwater classification and code that's based on the amount of impervious area on the property. As of 2013, stormwater charges for non-residential properties range from approximately $225 a year for properties between 26 and 1,000 meters squared of impervious area to approximately $24,000 per year for properties with 39,000 meters squared or greater of impervious area. So for example, within the non-residential largest category, the rate code is 13 and the monthly charge is $1,980 or approximately $24,000 per year. The result of moving from property taxes to the stormwater rate structure was a shift in the funding for stormwater from residential properties to non-residential properties by 18%. Okay, stormwater credits are a percent reduction to the stormwater portion of the property owner's utility bill. Stormwater credits are offered to property owners who install or have existing on-site measures that reduce their individual contributions of stormwater runoff and pollutant loading to the municipal storm sewer system. These provide incentives to property owners to implement on-site stormwater controls. Okay, the City of Kitchener and Waterloo initiated the development of the credit policy in 2011, and the selection of the preferred credit policy generally followed the well-established municipal class environmental assessment process, whereby we reviewed several different alternatives, presented them to public, and then cleared it through council. There were 5 alternatives under consideration, including rebates, which is sort of a one-time reward, or credits, which is an ongoing monthly reward. And the preferred alternative was to provide ongoing monthly credits to both the residential and non-residential property owners. One of the most important parts of this step was to get the word about the new stormwater rate, especially explaining that the stormwater utility replaces paying for stormwater through property taxes and that it is not an additional tax that didn't exist before. As part of the communication strategy, we sent out utility bill inserts, developed social media, Facebook, Twitter, our website, ran newspaper ads, developed promotional materials, and sent targeted letters to property owners with stormwater infrastructure on site. We also worked closely with the non-for-profit organization REAP, Green Solutions. They received complimentary funding from the province to help with the implementation of stormwater rate and credit program. Among other activities, RAIN links citizens with stormwater and landscape professionals and develops promotional materials and completes home visits to help property owners qualify for stormwater credits. So I'm going to just talk quickly about this residential credit program. The approved best management practices for the residential credit program include rain barrels, cisterns, infiltration galleries, rain gardens, and permeable pavers. We are open to innovation, and if an owner can demonstrate the practice employed on their property meets the intent of the policy, we will grant credits at staff discretion based on technical review. I assume everyone is familiar with rain barrels and cisterns, but I will quickly review rain gardens, infiltration galleries, and permeable pavers. Rain gardens differ from conventional gardens in that they serve a drainage purpose. There must be a connection between the downspout and the rain garden. The garden must be designed to hold water back from the street using either a dugout lowered area or a small berm. Rain gardens only hold water during rainfall, and afterwards the stormwater soaks into the ground. Infiltration galleries are stone-filled excavations where stormwater runoff collects and then infiltrates into the ground. Over 4,000 homes in the city of Kitchener have been built with infiltration galleries of the type shown in this example. It is a requirement of the subdivision planning stage if soils are conducive to infiltration. The amount of rainwater stored in the average infiltration gallery is equal to approximately 21 rain barrels. And generally, infiltration gallery has to be located about 5 meters away from the house in order to prevent it from interfering with the foundation drainage. Here's some examples of infiltration galleries that are quite nice looking. Personally, I wouldn't design it quite so close to my home's foundation as they are in these examples. Here's some examples of infiltration trenches. And permeable pavers differ from traditional interlocking brick in that small stones are used around and below the pavers. Permeable pavers use an open graded base. The stones have no sand or other soils mixed in. Stormwater can easily move through this medium. Traditional pavers use a dense graded base. The sand and gravel mix is compacted and the end result is impermeable to stormwater. Permeable pavers also contain at least 1 foot of small stones beneath the pavers. This is where the stormwater is stored during rainfall. The stormwater credit for each residential property is evaluated based on the amount of runoff diverted from the municipal stormwater system. There are 3 levels of credit: basic, normal, and enhanced, corresponding to 20, 30, and 45% off the stormwater portion of the utility bill respectively. To receive the basic level of credit, a residential property owner must store between 200 and 800 liters of stormwater, which equates to, for example, 1 to 4 rain barrels. Residents may apply using either a hard copy online application or an online application. Many different versions of these applications have been progressively developed, and work continues to update and refine the credit applications. Hard copy applications are mailed as a package that includes the information required to help residents complete the application. The online credit application is a step-by-step process. Photos were selected that best illustrate each BMP, and the rights to use these photos were obtained. For each best management practice, there is a description, an explanation of how it works, and a summary of the benefits associated with the use of the best management practice. The application was designed recognizing that the residential program is as much an opportunity to educate as it is about providing incentive to retrofit the properties. Some detailed information is required. We tried to make this as simple as possible for residents. For example, if the applicant selects that they have a permeable paver driveway, they are directed to a screen which requires the applicant to provide additional information. Dimensions required are illustrated on the application. We use these dimensions to determine the volume of stormwater contained in the best management practice, which then dictates the level of credit received. The residential credit program was quite successful, with about 4,200 applications received in the first 6 months. 662 inspections were completed from May to August 2013. 17% of all applicants received an inspection. The vast majority of inspections passed, with a small number failing and a small number requiring a revision to the level of credit received. The majority of residential applicants received the enhanced level of credit, with a fair number also receiving a basic level of credit. The 2 most common best management practice types were rain barrels and home builder installed infiltration galleries. Here's some local examples that I'll show you that our inspector took pictures of while she was on site. Cisterns, this is a particularly nice cistern under someone's porch, so you don't have to see it, which I hear is an important consideration. Homeowner installed infiltration galleries. Soak-away pit and an infiltration trench, permeable pavers, some pretty fancy rain barrel setups. That's pretty good, eh? I didn't really love these rain gardens. They're a little too close to the home foundation for my liking, but here's a better one that was designed properly. So, the residential credit program is as much an educational opportunity as it is about providing incentives to retrofit. Residents typically pay between $5 and $10 a month, so stormwater credits won't pay back costs of permeable paver driveways. But the program does increase residents' awareness and understanding of stormwater management. A good communication strategy and communications outreach work are necessary to make the program successful. And an online application that links directly to city building software is highly recommended to cut down on staff time. Inspections are necessary to keep the program honest. The credit program promotes awareness of potential solutions to drainage problems and alternative water-friendly landscaping techniques. Green-minded, do-it-yourself type seniors and gardeners are early adopters to the program. And best management practices direct water away from the home foundation and cumulatively reduce the burden on the municipal stormwater pipes while promoting groundwater recharge. Stormwater credits for the multi-residential and non-residential properties are evaluated based on approved flood prevention techniques, pollution reduction techniques, and education activities. Approved quantity best management practices typically retain or detain stormwater on the property. These include quantity control ponds, parking lot storage, rooftop storage, infiltration galleries, and underground storage. Approved quality best management practices typically remove sediments and pollutants from stormwater. These practices typically include quality control ponds, oil grid separators, filter strips, paved area sweeping plans, and salt management plans. Low-impact development techniques such as bioretention and permeable pavers are accepted within the non-residential credit program, but at this point are not commonplace in Kitchener. Low-impact development practices that treat parking lot drainage or road drainage and rely on infiltration as the treatment mechanism are only permitted outside of wellhead protection areas, and a salt management plan for the property must be included with the application. LID practices do qualify for both quantity and quality credits. So applicants receive up to 25% off the stormwater portion of their bill for practices that detain or retain stormwater on site. They will receive 5, 10, or 15% off the stormwater portion of their bill for practices that improve the quality of stormwater leaving the site, depending on the percentage of sediments removed from stormwater. And applicants receive 5% off the stormwater portion of their utility bill for efforts to educate employees, students, or the public about stormwater management. We only offer a hard copy application form for non-residential applicants because we have to review everyone. There's no automated process. The popularity of non-residential best management practices are largely driven by the municipal site plan development process. Parking lot storage and rooftop storage are the most common BMPs, while quality control ponds and filter strips are the least common. The creditable area is defined by the amount of impervious area draining to the best management practice. For example, if you only have quantity controls and the maximum level of credit you can receive would be 25%, but if only half of your impervious area drains to that BMP, the maximum credit you could get would be half again of that, which is 12.5%. So 550 Trillium Drive presents a typical example of a highly impervious industrial site composed mostly of rooftop and parking lot areas. This property provided quantity and quality treatment of all impervious areas using rooftop storage and infiltration gallery and a water and quality control pond. The site represents a fairly typical site design in Kitchener where the rooftop is directed to an infiltration gallery while the parking lot drainage bypasses the infiltration gallery and is treated separately. That's so the salt from the parking lot doesn't go down the infiltration gallery. The property receives a 40% reduction off the stormwater portion of their utility bill, which equates to an annual savings of almost $2,000 per year. For similar properties with larger impervious surfaces, the annual savings would be greater, with a maximum annual savings up to approximately $11,000 per year for the largest non-residential properties in the state. Ontario Dye International went through a slightly more involved site design process that was a collaboration between MTE Consultants, the University of Waterloo, and Jeff Thompson Environmental. The parking lot drains away from the road, and much of the parking lot drainage is directed to a bioswale located behind the building. The bioswale and remaining green space on site is well maintained and planted each spring with many native species. The bioswale drains to a constructed wetland which provides both quality and quantity treatment. There are also infiltration galleries adjacent to the building and walkways on the property. This site received the full 45% credit as the owner makes an effort to make the employees aware of stormwater management system on the site. Pressings of the native plants that can be found on site are framed throughout the office. Developers are not offered additional credits for exceeding design standards. However, the Stormwater Utility Credit Program does promote LID options for development and redevelopment. A number of LID demonstration projects are underway for the non-residential credit program led by REAP. Lessons learned. It is ideal to promote the credit program during the municipal site development process, as it is harder to implement stormwater controls once the site has been built. Incentives to retrofit increase for properties with large amounts of impervious area which pay high stormwater rates, up to $11,000 in savings per year for the largest non-residential properties. It's essential to send targeted mail to properties with city-approved best management practices on site, as many property owners are unaware of what stormwater controls they have or how to maintain them. Meeting site development requirements may not mean receiving full stormwater credits. So everybody thinks that if they receive approval from the city through the site development process, that they should be automatically eligible for the maximum level of stormwater credits, which isn't necessarily true. Like, for example, when a building expansion is done, a lot of the times you're only required to do stormwater management on that expansion, but because you haven't done stormwater treatment for the rest of the site, you wouldn't receive stormwater credits for those portions of the site that aren't treated. And again, if you've done cash in lieu rather than putting on site controls, you're not eligible for stormwater credits. Or if your site drains to a downstream stormwater facility or directly to a creek, and therefore you were exempted, or not exempted, but didn't have to do any stormwater management at that time, then you also wouldn't receive stormwater credits because you didn't do stormwater management on your property. A good communication strategy and community outreach work are necessary to make the program successful. And in the future, we are considering to offer property owners the option to leverage stormwater fees in order to spread the capital costs of new stormwater infrastructure. This would make it possible for property owners to participate in the credit program without big upfront costs. The City of Kitchener has received a number of awards for its work in establishing and running Canada's first stormwater utility. Oh, I'll leave them up for a second. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Matt. Are there any questions for Matt about Kitchener's program? Yes, please.
Alan Lee, City of Toronto. First question is, how often do you review and update your stormwater fee and credit value? And how much resource required to manage the stormwater billing and credit review system?
Okay, so the stormwater rates change once a year. Sometimes they go down, sometimes they go up. And the administration costs for running the stormwater utility are $250,000 per year, which is about 5% of the total revenue that the stormwater utility takes in.
Robert. Hello, Robert here, City of Markham, and stormwater is sexy, and I know it. That's just a comment. But my question is, what's the uptake you're finding on the non-residential credit applications? Or how many you've received? Thousands on the residential.
Right.
What's the interest for the ICI group?
Okay, so we have 150 non-residential applicants, and almost all of them are associated with targeted mailings that we did to property owners that we knew had approved city stormwater infrastructure on their sites. I think it's because most people install stormwater management as part of the municipal site development process, and afterwards have no idea what stormwater management is, why it's on their property, what it is. And unless they received a letter from the city saying that they were eligible to participate in the program, they probably wouldn't apply. And that's why it's critically important that you have a not-for-profit group like the REAP Energy Efficiency Program who will go out and engage the business owners and the non-residential community at large and try and make them aware of where there are cost savings, where there is a business case for them to participate in the stormwater credit financially. And when people make that link, they will jump on board.
Hi, Matt. Jeremy Blair, City of Mississauga. Can I ask you a question about the credit application requirements? Can you talk a little bit about requirements related to obligations that the landowner would take on as part of receiving a credit, say in terms of operation and maintenance?
Yeah. Okay. So the way this hasn't all been worked out yet. But the first step is to get people participating in the credit programs, as many people as possible. And then we're thinking sometime next year, we have sort of written into our bylaw that people need to submit annually certain types of documentation in order to stay eligible to receive their credits. So for example, if your site had an oil grid separator, then you would be required once a year to submit in some documentation saying that that oil grid separator has been, I think they do like a check to see what the sediment depth is. And then every like 4 or 5 years, if the depth of sediment is accumulated too high, a cleaning has to be done. So that kind of documentation would need to be sent in. And if we didn't receive the documentation, then we would, try and call and contact the person. But if all else failed, we would end the stormwater credits. And then until they provided the required documentation that they were doing maintenance on their on-site stormwater infrastructure, we would just cease to give them any more stormwater credits.
Montgomery ICLR. The City of Hamilton had a similar discussion about such a rate. They were going to limit it only to new big box stores and such. And the political side looked at it and said, we're going to lose jobs, we're going to, these places won't locate to Hamilton, so it was all nixed. Was there a similar discussion in Kitchener about big commercial and jobs and industry located elsewhere and such?
Actually, I don't think I was at the City of Kitchener while those conversations were occurring. I know, like, for example, people already paid taxes for stormwater management, right? So for the non-residential sector, on average, their bills went up about 18%, while that actually dropped for the residential sector. So 18% sort of sounds like a lot, but I mean, if you're the largest contributor to stormwater management, then you have to pay for it. So I don't know if those conversations occurred. I sort of can answer your question, but
Let's do one final question from Christine.
So just to sort of, I don't know what this is. Is it? Okay. Just from the experience and the research that we did, and the City of Mississauga has done a lot. One of the things that, I guess there was a survey that was done in the States about stormwater rates, and they asked businesses, what were the factors that made you locate to a particular municipality? And stormwater rates was the bottom
Thanks, Christine. I think we'll have to leave it at that. We have reached time for a coffee break. So thank you, Matt, again, for your presentation.